Good morning. It's about 6:06 on Thursday, January 2nd, and of course it is dark, which works for me. I just wanted to take a brief moment to try to put a very short little video together. I have been doing a lot of research lately into whether or not I should reconsider my stance on Christmas, because it would definitely make me more palatable to churches, but when I take a look at it, I really can't. And I know that irritates everybody and kind of tells everybody, oh, I'm a religious person, and that I should go be a Jew or I should go be a Jehovah Witness. And of course I'm speaking really fast because I know my video will only be it'll only be short. Excuse me. So I have thought about it a lot, and I just kind of wanted to bring this point up that I don't think people really think about. In Acts chapter 15, Paul and Peter were standing before the Council of Jerusalem, and they were telling them all about how the Gentiles were becoming Christians, and were describing how they were being filled with the Holy Spirit, and the people were being required to become Jews, to be circumcised, and to follow the feast days and all of that stuff. And they were concerned that maybe that really wasn't what God wanted, because of how the people were being filled with the Holy Spirit, just like the Jews had been filled with the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost. So they came up with 4 things. These were the men. I just want to kind of point this out, that these were the people, the men, the Council of Jerusalem, which did include women, but they didn't talk about it all that much. But these were the folks that walked with the Lord in his earthly ministry, that were with him, that these guys were the ones that were sent out 2 by 2 to go to different towns and to tell the good news and to heal the sick, and they did miracles. And these people came together, sought the face of the Lord, and came up with 4 things that should be held to as far as Jewish law and Christianity and Gentilism coincides, where they coincide. These were the things that they wanted them to do. Abstain from fornication, abstain from pollutions of idols, don't eat meat with the blood in it, and don't eat anything that was strangled. So that's kind of interesting. Those were the 4 things that the Holy Spirit led this group of men who walked with the Lord and were filled with the Holy Spirit. This is what they were told to do. Now, when I try to introduce that, Christmas is a pagan holiday, and it is paganism, and everything about it is pagan, and if I were to tell you what I've learned about it, you just would look at me and say I'm a nutcase. But if you did the research for a minute, you'd probably find out that I'm not lying, because I've looked at this for now 20 years, 19 years, because Naomi is 19 today, and I was fasting and praying about Thanksgiving time prior to her birth as to whether or not we should do Christmas, because of what I had learned. So in those 4 things in Acts, he says, keep yourself from pollutions of idols. And John, in the book of John, I think it's John 1, chapter 5, keep yourself from idols. And if you would really take a look at it, you'd see that everything that we offer as worship to God around Christmas time is from pagan religion and preceded his birth. So I'm not being religious. I'm just calling the church to listen to the things that the Jerusalem Council exhorted the church to do. Okay, no fornication. That means don't go sleeping around with everybody that you can see. So sexual promiscuity is not part of the Christian walk. And don't eat things with the blood in them, raw meat. Don't eat things that were strangled or hung, And in a lot of ways, that's how they offered to their false gods. And keep yourself from pollutions of idols. Paul said it later, and I believe it was in Corinthians. He said, I would that ye do not eat at the table of devils. And and he's just kind of reiterating the same thing, that, stay away from the things that are ungodly. To stay away from the things that people offer to their false gods. And so, what does that look like today? Well, please tell me. And it doesn't matter if in your heart or my heart we feel like we have the freedom to be able to worship idols. Why do you want to? Why do you want to? There's just a question of, is God important? And do you care about his heart at all? Or is it only your heart and what you can get away with that you're concerned about? That's where I don't fit into church. It's not that I don't love you guys, but I just don't fit in with you because I don't see things the same way that you do. I think that God's heart counts. I think that when he said he was going to give us a new heart, it didn't mean that he was going to give us our own heart back. I believe that when he said, I'm going to take their heart of stone out and put in a heart of flesh and write my commandments on the fleshy tables of their heart. When he said in Psalms, I will give them a new heart and I will give them their heart's desires. Well, that doesn't mean your heart. It means a new heart, his heart, and his heart's desires living in you, just like David, a man after God's own heart. That's what we need to be as Christians. And I just don't feel like when we are doing everything we can to please ourselves, or to set up our own establishments, or to keep our own status quos, or to make our own heart happy, that we are doing what God has asked us to do. So that keeps me separate. And yes, I'm crazy, but I'm not a Jew. As much as you would like to try to put me in that bucket, which so many people have, I'm either a crazy religious person, off my rocker, lost my mind, or I should just go be a Jehovah's Witness or a Jew. I've heard it all, folks. I really have. And I really just want to plead with you. Think about it. I'm not asking you to become a Yeshua believer. I'm not asking you to be a Christian that's going to keep the Jewish festivals. I'm only saying, can't not we consider how God feels about things and keep the instructions that he gave us? Because, let's be honest, the Christian church today applauds promiscuity and doesn't have a problem with it. I know, because that's where I was when I got married. And that was in 1988. And living with somebody, as long as you brought them to church and they put money in the bucket, it was all good. And I have a problem with it. So I want you to just please prayerfully consider. I'm not saying that we need to go through the calendar and remove anything and everything that has to do with false god worship, because we're not taking the word Saturday away, and we're not going to be taking January away and all these things. But I'm saying, as Christians, as people who are a people after God's own heart, can we not consider how he feels about us partaking of the things that he has called us out from? So just consider it, and may the Lord bless this word to help you understand. And I'm open to correction. If you can show me Bible verse and all this that says that we're good to follow paganism, because you're gonna have to convince me that what you're doing is not paganism. But first you're gonna have to look at it before you can convince me of that. And please do. Please take a look at it and then show me where I'm wrong. Love y'all, and I hope that you have a good day. Bye.